Well, hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We've got a packed house today. We've got a great topic on board today, how to turn your social media followers into paying customers, how to get some of these people to go past the engagement stage and actually to book a consult with you and become a paying customer. So let's go ahead and jump into the workshop today. We got a lot of material to cover. Really excited to dive into some of this. I think a lot of people are doing social media. Maybe not everyone's doing it the best way they can to increase engagement, to maybe increase referrals. Ultimately, our job here is to give you guys the education and ideas to help you increase your revenue, to grow your business. And social media is just one of those marketing channels that you could be using to do that. You guys know who I am already. Most of you on here have been following me. For those that haven't been following our webinars regularly, for the last few years, I come from the remodeling industry. Love doing this stuff. Really love pushing forward in our industry. Just trying to get as much information out there to make sure that as many companies as possible are doing their marketing right. The whole idea behind this is get your marketing right and you'll grow your business. And so social media is one of those aspects that we're helping with. We also obviously build websites, do SEO, pay per click, and all that. But this is all we do is working with home improvement companies, working with remodelers, with builders, some roofers, window companies, HVAC, that sort of thing. But this is all we do day in and day out. We are just trying to help contractors increase their sales opportunities and ultimately to grow the revenue for their company. And so when it comes to social media, I think the place we need to start first is really just starting with that mindset shift that you need to have with social media. Social media is not about vanity metrics. Likes and follows are good to build upon, but they don't pay your bills. Relationships do. And that's what we really want to make sure that we're fostering and building in terms of your social media is building relationships. And so when homeowners scroll through your feed, they're subconsciously asking, can I trust this person? Can I trust this company? Do they do quality work? Will they show up when they say they will? One way to look at this is to think of social media as building your reputation in public. That's where people are going to see what you're really made of, what you're about, how you, showcase your company, how you talk with those that are following you, that are engaging with your presence. And so here's a tip for you. Before you post anything on social media, ask yourself, would this make a homeowner feel confident about choosing your company? And if you feel that they would say, yeah, they would read this and they would probably, choose our company if they were interested in our services at that time. And if that's the case, then go ahead and hit that publish button. And so let's jump in here by first talking about the 4 pillars of high performing remodeling content. And what I'm referring to here are the types of posts that consistently perform well. Number 1 is the before and after storytelling. Everyone loves transformation. And so what you do is you show the ugly, you show that sad, depressing kitchen before you got started, for instance. Show the design and the build process and how that all comes together and how design and build really do marry together to form a perfect relationship. And then show the beautiful result. Don't just say, we remodeled this kitchen. Tell the story behind it. Say something like, this family needed more storage, maybe more light, and here's how we got them both. And so what you want to do then is showcase that work, showcase that story, and talk about, some of your processes, where it starts from delivery, maybe vendor relationships, your warehouse, your showroom. Then you can show more pictures, like the middle pictures when you're showing those updates. Here were the cabinets being built. Showcase some of your team members. It's always, a little shout out for them. And then you can showcase those final photos that really show that transformation. You can even link to your website and then show that kind of in like a case study. To where you show the before and after pictures. We have an effect that we use on our websites that we build. It has like a slider that kind of shows the before and after. You just kind of move the slider back and forth. Really, really dramatic effect for showing the complete transformation before you started to the final product. And then, educational posts. These really build authority. They really teach homeowners something useful. And so, for example, you might be able to post something about 3 things to check before hiring a contractor, or the top 10 questions to ask your contractor to see if they're the right fit for you. You can make social media posts out of these. You can also make these downloadable PDFs or white papers to build your following, to build that email list. Bottom line is that education builds authority. It tells people you're not just a contractor, you're really a trusted advisor. You're the go-to source when it comes to questions that they might have about, kitchen remodeling, for instance, or whether an addition would be a good fit on their home, etc. And here's an example of using celebrity authority to showcase a particular type or brand of cabinets. We all know how products are used by or endorsed by celebrities. Those products usually go viral then, especially the social media influencers, the women doing makeup and different purses and outfits and things like that. But obviously, it works in every industry. It works just as well for remodeling. The idea here is to inject your brand into that story and thus help your audience also see themselves in that story too. And think of the bragging rights. If you can say, "Hey, Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, got the same cabinets as you have. You didn't get the same cabinets as Tom Brady. He got the same cabinets as you." That's one way to position it from a semantic point of view, right? And then let's talk about the third pillar, which is behind the scenes content. People connect with people. Show your team at work, your morning job site walkthrough, or a quick video about why you love what you do, or maybe even show a tip or a trick you use in your process. Give that coveted insider's peek into your world of design and construction. Authenticity outperforms polish every single time. And so here's some examples of that. You can talk about a particular project, the scope of that project, how that project kind of unfolded, or maybe you do a post with your team doing a team building event, or maybe a team training, or maybe you're just out having fun, throwing the rock at the bowling alley, or out, at a video arcade all together, playing video games or something, just a team building experience. Those are always great to showcase, and it shows the culture that you're building in your company. And as some of you on this webinar were on one of the webinars I did a couple months ago about team and company culture building, it really is important, and people are going to resonate with that company culture as well. They're going to say, "Wow, this is really a cool company. I'd like to learn more about them, and this is a company that I could potentially work with." And then that fourth pillar is your client testimonials and the video reels that you put out there. Turn your happy clients into your best sales reps. A 15-second video of a homeowner saying, "We'd love our new bathroom," and they're mentioning your company. Maybe you're even in that video with them, interviewing them. That's worth more than any possible ad copy that you can come up with. And so, here's some examples, the way you can take testimonials and put those into a post. You're using your branding colors, you're talking about your brand, you're talking about what you've done for that client, and then you're highlighting what these, happy customers have had to say about your company. So these are really powerful. Google sees reviews as content now. They're not just reviews, they are part of your content marketing, your content strategy. And so they see these same reviews on social media as well. They crawl everything. AI is crawling everything across the internet. So this is all content that is, going to serve a higher purpose for you, and that is getting your name out there, building your brand, building your authority. And another bonus tip here, if you post one of each type of content per week, the four pillars that we just talked about, you're going to have a consistent trust building presence. And you're going to do it without burning out as well. Your social media feed also won't get boring by just showing your before and after pics over and over, like I see so often with builders and remodelers on their social media channels. I can't tell you how many times that I go to a social media channel and it's just before and after pics, or maybe just after pics, just the final product. And that's it, just over and over and over and over. Now, people like to see pictures, and Instagram is good for that. Your photo galleries on your website are even better for that because now they're on your website. Now you really got a chance to engage with them. But you need more. If you want to build a social media following, you want to build people that will actually engage with you, you're going to need more than just showing pictures, because they can just look at a picture and be like, "Ooh, I like that." And then that's it. Then they're moving on to the next feed, or the next ad that pops up. So you want to engage them, give them a reason to engage by posting other stuff about your company, about the events you're doing, or maybe pop quizzes or questions to get them to interact. And then you really need to find the right mix. And by that, I mean, we're talking about your organic social media, just your normal feed, versus paid social media. That's really one of the biggest questions remodelers have when it comes to social media marketing. And so the big question becomes, should you focus more on the organic content, or should you be running paid ads? And the truth of the matter is, it's really both. You need both, but for very different reasons. So let's dive into this a little further so understand the difference. Your organic feed, this is the long-term relationship builder that we're talking about here, building relationship, building engagement. Organic content is kind of what we consider your slow burn. It's what earns people's trust over time. And so think of it as showing up consistently, posting those project photos, posting those client testimonials, giving those behind the scenes looks of your crew in action or maybe at play. This is what really helps people feel like they know your company before they reach out. And so over time, this builds credibility, it builds loyalty and community. It's the kind of marketing that keeps customers coming back and referring you to their friends. So while organic may not deliver hundreds of leads overnight, it does plant the seeds for strong brand trust, and that pays off later. Because you really got to remember too that social media is not a lead generation platform. If you can get some referrals from it, if you can build a following from it, eventually they become a customer down the line. That's great. That's what social media is for. If you want leads, if you're looking for, more phone calls, then you got to, engage in direct marketing for that. That's SEO, that's pay per click, lead generation platforms out there, or those pay per lead companies. That's where you go if you really, really want to build your business, especially at a much faster rate. You've got to just drive more phone calls in order to have more sales opportunities to close. And then paid social ads. This is really an accelerator for increasing visibility and giving you a chance to retarget those potential customers. And so paid ads are what we call your visibility engine versus the organic feed being your slow burn. Paid ads get your name in front of homeowners who've never heard of you. And it does this, very fast because now all of a sudden you start popping up in all kinds of feeds for people. And so with the right targeting, you can retarget people who have visited your website or who have interacted with your posts but haven't taken action yet. Paid campaigns are also perfect for promoting big projects or promoting those seasonal offers or events like open houses or free design consultations that you might be doing. So think of organic as building the foundation, and then the paid ads are turning up the volume when you're ready to grow faster. Very, very big difference there, and it's really keen for you to understand, the two types of channels there within social media marketing. And so here's another pro tip for you. When you run an ad and it performs really well, don't stop there. Repurpose that same content as an organic post as well. The algorithm already told you it works, so use it to your advantage. You can tweak the caption, but the message, clearly has resonated with people. It's working. So let it keep working for you in your organic feed. And then avoid the mistake that I see so often, which is really one of the most common missteps, and that's boosting every post. Boosting is just a money pit. It's really the quickest way to waste money without learning what actually moves the needle. You're just boosting it to boost it, but do you really understand what worked and what didn't work from an organic perspective? And so you really want to be strategic instead. Run campaigns around your top three projects, the ones that represent your craftsmanship and ideal clients that you're targeting. Or you can focus on those retargeting campaigns. For example, show ads to people who visited your site but didn't book a consultation. These people are interested. They, look at what pages they looked at. You can go into Google Search Console and see what pages people are visiting. This is really what's going to help your ad dollars make a difference for you. It's not just going to be pumping money into the ad campaign and hoping it works, hoping something is going to come from it. We're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. You really want to understand those metrics and really what's working for you. And then let's talk about turning that engagement into real leads. And so for the ad that you're running, you're trying to grab attention and stop the feed and attract the right people. Your ad's only job is to stop the scroll, to get that audience to stop and click on your ad. It's got to be intriguing. There's got to be something that makes them go, "Ooh, what's this?" Before they go on to 25 other feeds that they're looking at. The important thing here is to remember. You're not selling right now. You're just trying to start the conversation. And so, an action plan for you can be first, define your audience. Use targeting filters to reach homeowners in your service area. Figure out that what you want to target in terms of age, income in demographics, homeowner status, interest in remodeling. Are they following remodeling channels and things like that? So really make sure you got your targeting filters dialed in. And then second is visual proof. Post your high quality before and after photos. Show those transformation reels, or even use those short testimonial clips from clients. Get those videos, those video testimonials from your clients. Don't just count on those Google reviews. Get those clients on video as well for any clients willing to do that. And there are always clients willing to do that. Not everyone will, but what I found is what you don't ask for, you never get. that most people are going to say, "Oh, I never can get people to do that." Well, what? You asked once or twice maybe, and then you gave up probably. That's usually how it works. So keep asking. See if you can get some of those video testimonials because you can showcase those on social media. You can put them on your YouTube channel, put them on your website. There's a lot of ways you can repurpose that content. And then the third part of your action plan is to write simple emotional copy. You want to focus on the result. You want people to resonate with a quote that says, "Love your bathroom again," or "We make kitchens that bring families together." You've opened up the space, you've built an island for everyone to gather around to sit some bar stools at maybe, really bringing the family unit together. And because we've lost that, compared to when I grew up, it was family dinner every night at 6 o'clock. And that's where we got together. We don't see that so much because the world's just changed. It's so busy now. So, messages like that, little quotes that really bring some emotion to mind. Maybe something like "from outdated to outstanding." That's a great before and after slogan you can use. And I didn't even copyright that, so you're free to use it. Also, calls to action. Always end with a clear next step for your ideal customer, for your following. Something like "see more projects here." You have a link that they can go to. Maybe you've got a button if it's a paid ad. Maybe you're saying something like "get your free quote," "book a design consultation today," something like that. The whole idea of marketing is to call to action, to book a consultation, to meet with a client, to drive more sales opportunities. So always remember to have a call to action. And then last, test and refine and test and test and test again. Run 2 or 3 ad versions with different visuals and different headlines. Track which one gets the most clicks or gets the most form fills. It's really all about, A/B split testing. Did this headline work better than this one? Okay, this is the best headline. Now put it up against another headline. Nope, still the best. Okay, now put it up against another headline. Ooh, this one worked better. And so you keep doing that and you go through 5, 10, 20 iterations of that. AI can help you with that very easily. And then you figure out which is the headline that is really grabbing the most attention. And so when you look at this, ad here, this is an ad script for us. We have a call out for our target audience. We are hitting up on a pain point that they might be having. Yeah, we're also empathizing with them. We understand that, most contractors are having trouble driving more leads. And we can, by stating our core mission next, we show them that we know how to solve that problem. And then we talk about the results because we have solved that problem for hundreds of contractors. So we talk about those results. We talk about what a customer can expect by working with us. And then at the end, there's that call to action. Check out our proven sales system. So this is how you want to design an ad that really hits on all those key components. The idea here is to keep in mind your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is to generate interest and to drive more traffic to your landing page. And then from there, that's where they're going to be convinced to fill out a form or to make a call in order to get in touch with you, to talk with you, to pick your brain of your expertise and ideas for how they would bring their vision to life by working with you. And notice I said drive traffic to your landing page. I didn't say drive traffic to your website because you want a landing page, one that builds trust and motivates action. Once someone clicks on your ad, your landing page must convert that curiosity into confidence. And you want to make sure that landing page is directly correlated to what they clicked on. You don't want someone clicking on an ad that talks about kitchen remodeling and then they go to a landing page that maybe is showing a new custom home build or just a whole new custom home. It's not focused on the kitchen at all. So for some examples, you want to make sure you keep it focused. One goal per page. You're not trying to advertise every one of your remodeling services on one page. If your ad is about kitchen remodeling, don't distract them with home additions or ADUs or custom builds or anything like that. Really make sure that your ad copy is lining up with your landing page. And that means multiple landing pages, right? They can all look, fairly similar, but they're going to be showcasing different products, different services that you offer. And then the headline is super key. Reassure them that they're in the right place. They've come to the right landing page. They've connected with the right contractor, in other words. So, for you guys, it could be, your dream kitchen starts here. Now they know, okay, kitchen remodel, that's what I'm here for. That's exactly why they're here. And so you're answering that question right then and there that they're on the right page. And then you can also use social proof, so add your client testimonials, take screenshots of those reviews, or, add in, short testimonial videos or any type of stories, maybe an interview that you did with the homeowners standing there in their kitchen together, and getting a good quote from them possibly. And then we want to talk about visual credibility as well. And so we're talking about including, maybe 3 to 5 project photos, maybe even a quick 30-second walkthrough video. I was just talking with a home builder here in Denver. And they have a video that does a whole walkthrough. It's almost like a drone, flying through the house, showing all the new rooms. And this was a whole custom home build. Beautiful video, great that shows everything about the house. So those are pretty cool as well. And obviously you don't need a drone inside. You could if you're really good with a drone, or you can just do it walking, with your iPhone, or a video cam, but walking through and showcasing the house itself. You can talk your way through that, or you can overdub some royalty-free music, perhaps. And then, make sure that you have short but persuasive copy. You want to focus on benefits. In other words, something like we design spaces that fit your life and style. We're talking about form and function, right? You guys design some really, really great stuff out there. But is it also functional? Of course, your design and your construction go together. You're not just designing great stuff just for the sake of art. You want to form and function both. Something that people are really thinking about. Is this going to work for me? Does this foot traffic path really work? Do I want this cabinet here, or do I want it over here? Things like that. Which way do the cabinet doors open? Things like that you guys all know. But it's one thing for you guys to know it, and being able to tell a prospective client that in a design consult. But you also want them to know some of these benefits, some of this knowledge you have, by putting it into your landing page, into your copy somewhere. And always make sure you have a simple form too. Ask for just their name, email, and phone, maybe the type of project. But just remember, the fewer the form fields, the higher the conversion rates. The more that you ask people to fill out, the more form fields that you have, the lower your conversion rates will be. People just start, getting distracted. They don't want to give up info, whatever it may be. But we know this to be 100% true. The more form fields you have, the lower your conversion rate's going to be. And then make sure you have that follow-up call to action. Always encourage that next step. Like I said before, book a free design consultation, get a quote in 24 hours, learn more about our design process. Whatever it may be, you always want to make sure you have that call to action. And remember the goal. The ultimate goal, right, is to turn visitors into leads by capturing their contact info and capturing their interests. Now you can have a conversation with them, or at least stay in touch with them via email marketing and lead nurture strategies. And speaking of lead nurture strategies, email marketing, staying in contact with them, let's talk a little bit about the follow up and specifically converting leads with your CRM with email automation. Here's where remodelers can really win or lose. Most leads don't convert on day one. And so that's why consistent follow up is everything. And when you think about the scope of our projects, kitchen remodels, full home renovations, a new custom home, we're talking projects in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. People, this is not going out and buying a pair of shoes that you try on and say, yep, that works. These are big, big decisions, big financial decisions, big lifestyle changes for people. So, these leads aren't going to convert on just one try. This is not the one call close that you hear about in the movies or whatever. So you really want to think about how you're putting together your lead nurture and your sales follow up. An action plan for that is, make sure you have a CRM. I think most of you guys and gals on here are using the CRM. Really, really make sure that you're putting that to use. We use Go High Level. There's HubSpot out there. There's Job Nimbus. There's all kinds of CRMs. There's the builder CRMs, Job Tread, Builder Trend. You can use those to keep in touch as well. Those are great for project management. Are you using the email follow-up aspects of that as much as you should? Most people, the answer is probably no. You're really trying to automate immediate response. Anytime someone submits a form or calls and there's, that you missed the call, you're really trying to send that thank you for reaching out type of email or text within 5 minutes of missing that call or getting that form submission. So that's automation. You're not sitting at your email all day long waiting to see when your website form comes in. Ooh, we got a website form inquiry. You automate that. There's a trigger there. When a website form comes in, there's an automatic trigger that an email goes out and says, "Thanks for reaching out. We'll be back in touch. We'll be in touch with you shortly." Obviously, I'm just ad-libbing that. You're going to have a better response than that. A text would be really short like that, but then you can follow up with an email response also. Or you can even include a helpful link or a video that keeps them engaged. Hey, thanks for reaching out. We'll be with you, as soon as we can, kind of thing. While you wait to have a conversation with us, check out this helpful link, and that link can go to a page on your website. Ideally, maybe it goes to a PDF that you've created. Top 10 questions to ask your remodeling contractor before you do business with them. You run it to them, they read this, and they go, "Great, I'm going to ask all those questions." And of course, you, having made that PDF, you already know how you're going to answer that. Hopefully, you've scripted out those answers. And then they become kind of natural. You don't want to just be winging that every single time and just hoping that you say the right things every time. So those are some ideas, but immediate follow-up is really, really crucial. Besides labor shortages, the biggest problem I see in the remodeling industry is people not being able to convert as many sales. When you're not converting, guess what? Your competitor is converting. When you didn't get the job, guess what? Someone else got the job. So you can't say these are bad leads. Most of the time, they're going to be pretty good leads. There are bad leads. We all know that, right? People that don't have a budget or just out of scope, or they want a handyman kind of job from a remodeler. But most of the time, leads are pretty good, and they're going to go with the contractor at some point. So it's either you or one of your competitors. And so one way to do this is to create some great follow-up email sequences. And this could be one sequence. It could be multiple different sequences based on where people are coming from, how they're engaging with your brand to start with. But you want to have like a welcome email, thank them, and then maybe showcase a featured project or that link to your white paper possibly. Then you want to follow that with a value email. And so you can share that remodeling checklist with them. You can share some other type of guide, things to think about when remodeling your kitchen. Top seven things to think about. Something like that. I use seven because it's an odd number. Like, ooh, why only seven? So again, we're trying to build intrigue, right? Build curiosity. Those guides are really helpful if because think about it. All things being equal, everything else with you and your competitor being equal, they're not doing a guide and you are, you're going to get more follow up because of the value that you're providing. And then the third step is social proof type of email. So you can highlight a client story. You can highlight some before and after photos from a particularly rewarding project or particularly, visually appealing project that really stands out. Maybe a project that includes a client testimonial video. There's nothing that beats a client testimonial video for social proof. So again, try to get those if you can. And then also the behind the scenes email. Show your team at work. This builds trust. It builds confidence in your team, and that that you know what you're doing, and that people are. That's really going to resonate with them because not everyone's doing that. They just say, "Ah, we're the best," because we also we offer great customer service and quality craftsmanship. Everyone says that. Show something else that's something that other companies aren't really showing. And then you have that reminder email that if they haven't engaged yet, because if they engage with that email sequence, now you can go in your CRM and stop that sequence. Say, okay, they've engaged. I've got the design consult booked. You can keep it going if you're just sending out projects and case studies and value kind of links. But if they haven't booked with you, you want to re-invite them to book that consultation with you. So, keep an eye on your email sequences to know if you need to stop them or move them into another sequence, maybe move them into the booked consultation sequence that sends, reminders for the date, time, and place and all that. And then the other thing that you can be doing that I don't see enough is calling or texting for follow up. Have your sales coordinator follow up with them within 20 to 48 hours if you're not getting a response. You want to keep that follow up and really try to engage with them. You don't want to just say, oh, well, they'll call me back if they're interested. That's not really how sales work. You really need to work a little harder at that. And one way to work smarter at that and not necessarily harder is nurture emails. Long-term leads, in other words, need that nurturing. This is going to be a long buying process typically. It's not going to happen in a one-call close, like I said. So nurture those potential customers of yours. Send monthly newsletters. Send project spotlights on projects you currently have going. You want to keep your company top of mind, right? It's all about brand awareness. And so just stay in front of them because these are long, buying decisions. Going to maybe be 3, 6 months, maybe 12 months, or a couple years. Your competitors are going to drop off. They're going to quit sending stuff. They're going to get lazy. They're going to forget. They're not going to be using automation. But guess what? When you're using automation and your stuff has been going out there month after month after month for a year, when they're finally ready, they're going to be, hey, we've been getting your emails. Thanks a lot. I love the projects you're doing. Hey, we're finally ready to have to book a design consult. Guess how you won that? You won that by being consistent in your follow up, in your sales lead nurture, what we call it. And then always remember that goal. Your goal is to move these warm leads through these trust building touch points until they're ready to hire you. And that's what all these emails, these phone calls, and these texts, they're just mile markers along the road, along that sale process, just to get them finally to book with you. So think about that. These are just touch points along the way that you should be doing. And here's another tip. Make sure you're tracking everything, your clicks, your form fills, your calls. If you're not measuring, you're just guessing. What we say in marketing a lot is what gets measured gets improved. And so you really have no way of knowing who is more interested or less interested from your pool of potential clients, ones that have engaged with you previously, if you're not really measuring this data. So make sure you're measuring everything through Google Search Console, through your CRM, tracking all those activities to see, who might be a more warm or a hot prospect that you can reach out to with your projects that you're working on a little more so versus someone who's not responding to anything. You don't have to put as much time into them, as much manual time. You still got all the automations running. You're just not taking time out of your day to make those calls because you know that they're just, these people, seem to be a little kind of cold. They're just not ready yet. And so I talk a lot about automation. Let's talk about some of the systems and tools to help keep it simple for you. Again, it's about working smarter, not working harder. This is where most of the remodelers fall off, this consistency. You don't need to post every day on your social media. You just need a system that keeps it running for you, keeps it working, and moving forward without your, day-to-day oversight. And so the first step is to have a plan, build a monthly content blueprint. Consistency starts with clarity. So, don't just wing it week by week. Make sure you're planning your content in batches, your ideas, your visuals. You can do all this in one sitting. Just do it once a month, plan it all out. That's what we do for our social media clients. We plan out a whole content calendar for the month. And once we get approval, once we really get that brand voice dialed in that we're learning with a new client, we plan out that whole month. And now it's done. We've got the plan. Now all we got to do is go in and post each day. Just hit the post button with that content. We don't have to think, oh, what am I gonna say today? What pictures am I gonna use? You do all that in one planning session, and then it's pretty much hands free from there. And so, for an action plan, choose your content themes. Pick 3 or 4 rotating themes that are going to align with your business goals. So, project spotlights, those before and after pics that I talked about, those transformation stories that really stand out to you. I know everyone on this call has got, some big projects that you can't even believe what you created from what it originally was. So really try to highlight those. Also, your expert tips, short videos or posts that you're sharing with some remodeling advice, whether it be, where to, maybe how you move a wall to create more of a traffic flow, or maybe this cabinet versus that cabinet and why, this type of window versus this type of window and why. Just giving advice. I'd love to see more remodelers getting on video because video, I mean, it really, really converts big time versus just regular written content. You can also be doing behind the scenes posts. So, those team moments, those process, kind of walkthrough videos, how cabinets are built. I'm always interested in learning how stuff is made. So maybe you do a walkthrough at your vendor, or maybe you have your own machine shop or carpentry workshop. And you can do those, or you can do on-site clips as well, on the job site. Show a project kind of coming together, and these are always things that build interest and intrigue. And then last, testimonials are huge trust builders. Those client reviews, awards that you've won, certifications that you've earned. Things like that really help. NARI has a lot of great certifications, their association that we hold near and dear to our heart. Those certifications really, really help you stand out from everyone else that's not earning those certifications, that hasn't earned the right to put those initials behind their name. These certifications really take a lot of hard work to earn. It shows that you are head and shoulders above your competitors, possibly. And then, make sure you're using that 4 pillars framework that we originally started the workshop with here today. So every month, map out at least 2 posts per pillar. So we're talking 2 educational posts, at least 2 transformational posts with your before and after photos. something that's personal to the company, something authentic about your company or your team, something that just really helps really build that kind of engagement and just something that resonates with your viewers. And then of course social proof is that last pillar. Reviews, review videos, those are really big for showcasing in your social media posts. I don't see those enough either. I see a lot of before and afters, but showcase those reviews like I talked about earlier. And then make sure you're batching your creative work together. So maybe spend one day photographing or filming all of your recent projects. Just do that all in one day, or you've filmed it all already, you've taken all the pictures. Maybe just sit down and spend the whole day separating all that stuff out into, different categories of before kitchen, after kitchen, or ADUs, or basements, or bathrooms, whatever it may be. Now you can also collect visuals from your team's phone. You can use a shared folder or a Google Drive. So if your project managers are out taking any photos, or anyone that's visiting a vendor, or where the cabinets are being made, maybe snap a few photos. Maybe snap a few photos, at an event that you're at, maybe an association event, maybe a happy hour, something like that. And then writing captions, you can write simple captions all in one sitting. You can use AI to reword those captions for, your tone, the brand voice that your company is used to talking in, or maybe helping cut down the length a little bit. But AI is great for that. You can really get that dialed in by feeding in better prompts. And then, like I said earlier, create a content calendar. You can use a spreadsheet. You can also use some free templates out there. Google Sheets, has those where you can put in a date, the platform you're using, the content type, the caption, the call to action. You can put all that in there, whether that's going to go on Facebook or Instagram, maybe a LinkedIn more professional post, all those captions that you've mapped out and you've gotten some help with AI with, you can put those in there as well. So really build out that content calendar. You can even add photos in there so you can see what photo is going to be there, what matches that caption. That's how we do it. Everything is all in there. It's like a tic-tac-toe grid filled out for the whole month, basically like what you'd see a calendar. We put the picture in there, we put the caption in there. It's all easy to see and follow if you do it that way. And then, the goal really is to end, a couple hour session with, 8 or 10 finished posts that are all ready for upload. You can knock this out all in one session or maybe a couple sessions. The more you do it, the more you're going to get used to it and the better you're going to get at it, obviously. And then you can also automate your publishing in order to make scheduling easier. There's scheduling tools out there, to remove that daily friction of, oh, what do I post today? Now I got to sit down. What am I thinking of? I don't have anything to post. Do all this in a batch in one session, figure it all out. And then you can schedule it all to go out, by the day, by the hour, even, figure out when the best times to post are. So there's a whole plan to this really to make it easier. Again, work smarter, not harder. And then pick your scheduling tool that you want to use. There are free tools out there, Meta Business Suite for Facebook and Instagram. Canva has a great scheduler in it. You can use advanced scheduling tools. Our Go High Level CRM has that ability. There's Metricool is a tool. Planoly is a tool. Later, I think, is another one for multi-platform posting. There's tons. You can Google social media posting tools, and you're gonna get some ads at the top. You're gonna get a lot of companies that you can choose from. And then you also want to set your posting frequency. So do you want to post every day? 2 to 3 times per week is enough for remodelers if you just don't have the time you feel to really post every day. We post every day for our clients because that's what we're getting paid to do. We have a whole, content team and a whole social media team, so we can do that. You really want to focus on quality visuals, though, quality over quantity. Don't post every day if your content really starts to drop off in terms of the quality. And then check about posting windows. We find that Tuesday to Thursday mornings usually perform best for home service audiences. And then you can review those insights every month to find your personal, hot time slots. The time slots that are really resonating most with your viewers. When are you getting the most engagement? When are you getting the most clicks and follow throughs and things like that? That's going to really tell you, if you're paying attention to those metrics. And then also batch uploading stuff. You can upload all the posts, from your calendar. You can add in those hashtags, tag locations. You can include consistent calls to action. Like I said, book a free quote, see more transformations, things like that. So you can do all this stuff in batches to really make it easier. And ultimately, the goal is to, just engage with us 10 minutes a day. Reply to your comments and your direct messages daily, maybe every other day if you're super busy. Engage with other local businesses and clients. That helps build your visibility and kind of fosters that sense of reciprocity. You help them comment on their stuff, and they're going to comment on you. And now you've got more followers, you've got more exposure out there to the big wide social media world. And the goal is to really just spend less than an hour a week maintaining your social media presence while staying active and visual. It's all about being visible out there. Be visible, stay in front of people, and you don't really need much more than an hour a week to do that. And like I said, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And then you can repurpose all that content too. It really multiplies your content output. I know a lot of the builders and remodelers that I see here on this workshop today, they're doing great work. Now you just need to showcase your designs, your quality craftsmanship, and you've got multiple formats to do that with, from different social media channels, from your website, from video channels, you name it. There are multiple formats. So you can repurpose that content. It's not like take the same picture and the same caption and just paste it across 6 different places. Change it up. One's going to have a longer format, one's going to have a shorter format, one you can write about more, one you can maybe insert some links on your website. You can turn it into a full page, kind of case study blog on a project you did. So when I say repurpose, I'm not saying just copy something over and over and over again to all your different platforms. And so here's your action plan to get you started. Start with one anchor project each week. Take a single completed project and just build several posts from it. From there, you can create a carousel of before and after photos. You can create maybe a 15 to 30-second reel showcasing the progress of that project throughout. You can also add a photo plus a caption, with the client's story, maybe the origin story of that project. And maybe a quick, lesson learned kind of post or a video about that project, something that you came across that was quite unique. And then also a testimonial or some kind of a client quote or client quote graphic really works great. And then create those platform specific versions. Instagram, great for reels, stories, carousels. And then you've got Facebook. You could do albums, you can do short videos, you can do review highlights. You've got your whole feed to work with there. And then LinkedIn, you can really talk more about project breakdowns, maybe, insights into leadership, insights into team building, things like that really resonate on LinkedIn, which is more of a professional platform. And so make sure you're using all those platforms, though. And then use AI tools to speed everything up. You can use AI, ChatGPT or Claude or Grok, any of those for caption writing, brainstorming ideas. Canva Magic Resize is a great tool for like resizing your photos and visuals across different platforms. Everyone needs a different size of photo, different layouts. Opus Clip and Pica are good for trimming longer videos into shorter clips. So those are some tools that you can explore as well. And then the last step is an end of month audit. Check which posts got the most engagement, got the most reach, what worked and what didn't. That's really what we're trying to get to here, right? And then save those formats as templates for the next month. The ones that are really working, or even all of them, if you're not really getting good data, maybe, at least by saving those formats as a template, now all you got to do is just plug in a new photo, a new caption, and you're off and running. And so you're not trying to, become an art major and create a new design for every single post for, to infinity. This is why you create templates and then change up the colors, the pictures. Don't, post them back to back all the time. That's going to, make sure that they don't really look the same. No one's really going to notice the difference there, and it's going to save you a lot of time. And the goal here is really to turn every project into at least 5 to 6 different pieces of content. That's going to keep your feed full without constantly starting from scratch and really getting to that place of paralysis by analysis. You just don't know where to start. You've got a starting point. You've got templates to work with now. Now you just need to plug in the content. And then here's a bonus step. Yeah, I've talked about metrics, but you really should be tracking all your metrics and then tweaking them as you go. Every system that we know of improves with feedback, right? So review your analytics on Meta or in your CRM or go high level wherever you're at. Track those metrics. Track your reach, your engagement. How many people are visiting your profile, things like that, and then double down on what's working, and then drop what's not working. You don't want to keep banging your head against the wall and saying, why am I not getting any followers? Well, have you been tracking and measuring and tweaking and changing and split testing stuff? Generally, the answer is no, and that's why you end up just doing the same thing over and over, and then wondering why it's not working. That whole definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. So you don't want to do that. So there's your action plan, 4-step action plan, plus a bonus step there. Let me know what questions you have. I saw a question came in earlier. Steve asked if he really needs to post every day. Like I said earlier, you can post 2 or 3 times a week, and that's going to be plenty good enough. You can post every day if you want. You can even post once a week. Once a week is better than once a month, right? So the more you post, the better. I wouldn't go to once a week. Try to post at least a couple times a week. That's going to really help. But if once a week is all you've got in you, then that's better than nothing, right? Shannon just asked if we run social media campaigns for kitchen and bathroom remodelers. Yes, Shannon, we do run social media campaigns for all of our clients that want us to run social media. So whether it be remodelers, builders, we've got roofing campaigns, window campaigns out there. So we do that. Like I said, we plan out the whole content calendar. We teach you what we do. What I say, we eat our own dog food. We're teaching you everything that we do, how we do it, how we batch everything together, how we work in bulk to really create a full content calendar. So, we're not going in every day. Okay, you got to work on this account today, got to work on this account tomorrow. Like it's just, too chaotic. So we're teaching you everything that we do as a company for our clients ourselves. And then Katie just asked if she needs to write long captions for images or just let the pictures speak for themselves. Okay, that's a really good question, Katie. This is really about storytelling. and more explanation about the project, about that picture that people are looking at, it's going to create more engagement. Now they know what they're looking at instead of just like, oh, that's a kitchen, great, I like it, I don't like it, whatever. If you write a caption, it's going to get people to think more about that picture, what went on in that picture, how did that picture come about through that design process, through that collaboration with your client. And then AI also, reads those captions. Search engines read those captions, and so that's given those, artificial intelligence systems more ammunition too, more insight into the projects you're doing. So those are, I would always add captions if you can. You don't have to, but it's certainly, all things, create equal. Captions are going to be better than no captions. So hopefully that helps. Um, we're coming up on an hour here, so I'm going to wrap up here. If you have any more questions, send me an email. You can email me. You can submit a form on our website. We got a chat widget as well that goes to my phone. If you got any questions, let me know. Happy to help you, give you some guidance. Hopefully, you've gotten a lot of good value out of this webinar. I love the content that we put together for this, and it really gives you the plan. Just do what we say in this webinar, and you're going to have a very successful social media campaign. There's no doubt about it. You just got to, you got to put the work in, you got to develop your system, and then just keep doing it, tweaking it, and then that system's going to get smoother and smoother as you go. But I really appreciate everyone being on here. We had near a record crowd today. This seems like a very popular topic with social media here, and really how to streamline it, how to do it smarter instead of working harder. So I want to thank everyone for being on the workshop today. Really appreciate you. Let me know if we can help in any way. And otherwise, we'll see you on the next webinar. Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.